What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pesty Marketing Podcast, where we talk about all things growth related to pest control. I am here today with Christian Allan, the founder and owner of Tailormade Pest Control out of Louisville, Kentucky. And Christian brings a unique perspective to growing a pest control company. The only time we've had someone on previously who had any experience trying to grow through social was Aaron of US Pest Control. And Christian has grown. Well, Christian, I'll let you tell your story because it's pretty cool. And if you could start actually from before you went and started your own company, because it is Monday, it is Labor Day, and you had a really cool post on LinkedIn about you taking the leap into starting a business. And I think that's a great place to start for others who are likely in a similar position as you right now.
Yeah, sure, Andrew. My name's Christian Allan. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I started working for another smaller company here locally, and worked there for about 8.5 years. And I did everything from general pests, bed bugs, termites, a little bit of wildlife, um, and pretty much, honed my skills, learned a career, learned a trade, and was able to grow and develop as a person and a technician and now hopefully a business person. um, and there's it got to the point where the owner was looking to semi-retire, and he wanted to I was kind of running day to day for him, but we were having a little bit differences of opinions on how things should be ran. And it just kind of got to the point where, he had one vision, I had another vision, and it was kind of just best for us to part ways. And so that's kind of what happened. I think we mutually parted ways. And, I turned in my 2 weeks notice. And so then started the path of entrepreneurship. I started it backwards per se. I didn't have the proper licenses in place. I didn't have a business plan in place. Barely had any money saved up. I think I had about $2,000 saved up. But the only thing I had lined up was a full-time job that I could start doing to help support myself, support my wife, and then also help fund growing a pest control company. And so I left 2 years ago, and then started looking into what was required to start a business. Initially, we started in Indiana because it was the easiest way for me to start a business. I had, the applicator's licenses already, and there's no separate business license to have. So got insurance, submitted the application, and officially started October 26th of 2021. And then, November in Kentucky, the LPCO, the operators test, is only held twice a year in May and November. So I was able to take a course to help study for the test and pass the test in November, and then I passed the test in November. So then late November, early December, we officially opened up in Kentucky. And even though we opened in October, I didn't get my first job, and it was in Kentucky till December. So it was almost 3 months before I got my first job. And then, I started late, so I didn't start in spring or summer. We started going into fall, going into wintertime when everything's slowing down. But I think that benefited me because, so I worked a day job. I worked for my buddy who owns Derby City Poop Scoop. I scooped a full-time route. And then I came home and I worked on my website. I worked on posting social media stuff. So I'd taken a bunch of pictures for working for another company, and I kind of just made it my own. And then I treated my house, treated friends' house, took pictures of me treating different people's houses and posted it on social media like, we were servicing people's homes. And, just a couple hours a night, every night, come home, work on the website, work on social media, post. And I think the the legwork that I did in fall, going into wintertime, going into springtime of 2022 really helped accelerate growth for 2022. So our actual first year in business, we did 131,000, and it got busy. In August of 2022, we were so busy to where we were a week or 2 weeks booked out. And so, I didn't spend hardly any money on marketing last year. I think I paid $300 a month for Angie. Didn't pay for Google ads, didn't pay for Facebook ads. At the back end of 2022, I started paying for Yelp, the flat rate 180. So really only about $500 a month was going into marketing. But my marketing was, actually I forgot. I did join a couple networking groups. So I joined BNI in February or March of 2022, and that really helped too. And then, really the first couple months of 2022, everybody was inviting me to different networking groups. So it seemed like every night, every day I was going to some sort of networking event, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a drinking event or just a regular meeting, lunch meeting, breakfast meetings. I was going to meetings almost every day, and just meeting different people. And part of the reason for that is, one, I was a small business. So one of my people I look up to is Grant Cardone. And, he says he's a 10X guy. So everything you multiply by 10. And he says everybody's biggest issue is obscurity. Nobody knows who you are. But on top of that, I didn't grow up in Louisville. So I don't have, childhood friends to call on. I don't have any, friends growing up. I just had, and I really didn't have too many friends, and I couldn't really call upon customers that I serviced with a non-solicit agreement. So I had to really start over. And so just my goal was to meet as many people as I could to tell them about, me and tell them my story and tell about my company so we could service them. And that seemed like it's really helped. It's kept costs low, with not having a lot of capital to start with. And it's been able to reach the most people in the shortest amount of time with a limited amount of funds. And so that's kind of where we are. Going into at the end of 2022, I was able to hire an office manager. She was able to help relieve some stress off me with making phone calls, scheduling, and everything. And then this year in March, I was able to hire a technician, and she's been able to really relieve a lot of stress off me and running the reoccurring stuff. And so she's been running the reoccurring stuff. I've been, and some of the new stuff coming in, and it's helped me focus on wildlife and some of the bigger new stuff that comes in, and also continue to market and network and grow the company. So it's kind of a little bit backstory of me.
Dude, Christian, I love that. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm just holding back the biggest smile over here, trying to let you talk as all these questions are firing off. And dude, that is the American dream story. You go working for someone, you take a leap of faith on yourself to start a business with $2,000 in the bank, and to do it in a way that was patient. You're out there scooping poop full time so that you can get your freaking business off the ground. Like there's so much involved in here's what I'm hearing is the throughput for everything that you just said is you've done what you had to do and you dropped your ego to get it done. Because you know how many people there are out there who never in a million years would they go out and would they scoop poop or do a job that required them to get, dirty like that. Like for some people, that's just, they can't, their ego is too big to allow them to do that. Even though work is work and it's respectable, some people just wouldn't do that. Some people would not put themselves out there, take pictures of themselves, post it on social media when in the beginning, that no one is seeing it and no one's paying attention. And you do it just because you know that that's the path you're supposed to be on, because you know that if you are consistent with it, you're going to get results. So, man, my hat's off to you, dude, because I mean, everything you just explained is there's hardly another way to sum up the entrepreneurial story and the American dream better than boots on the ground, figuring it out. Doing it where you don't have the support of a bunch of people around you to give you money to get going. Not that there's anything wrong with that, or to be your first, um, customers necessarily. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, you really did it the patient, hard um, way, and I just find that incredibly impressive. So I'm even more excited now than I was at the beginning of our conversation to have you on and to learn from you. And I think our audience will have a lot to learn from you as well. So I appreciate you going into all that detail about sharing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was fortunate. So, I don't know if you're a religious person. I'm not necessarily the most religious person, but I tell people I've truly been blessed. Um, you know, the scooping company, Derby State Poop Scoop, I worked for was a best friend of mine's company, and perfect timing. He had a route open up. He needed somebody. He knew he could rely on me. I took it. But I was able to watch him. I think he's going to year 7 or 8, and he's about to hit $1 million in dog poop. So I was able to watch him because
A
he and I
million
worked for
dollars in dog poop. I love
a million,
that.
a
That's
million dollars.
amazing.
I think he's about to hit 1 million this year. But I was able to see him start from nothing. So he did the same thing. He worked 3 or 4 jobs when he first started, and he put a lot more money into the scooping company than I have in pest control, just because it's not an industry that most people knew about. So he had to spend a lot of money into marketing, a lot of ads and Facebook posts had to go into it to build it up to where it is now. He's got an office person. He's got 10 techs and the scoopers in the field scooping. So he helped. I was able to watch him and see all the struggles he went through in building his business, and then I was able to learn on that. And so not everybody has that. So that's why a lot of people do diaries and stuff, and it's just private. And I'm kind of a private person, but again, nobody knows who I am. So the best way for me to tell people who I am is just to post everything publicly on social medias, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs, just to chronicle my journey of entrepreneurship, because other people are not as fortunate as I am to have somebody that they can watch in person doing it. So if I can help inspire other people to start their own journey, it's kind of the goal. So as well as it's been fun to go back and see pictures and my older videos about where I started. I'm like, man, I thought those are problems. I'd trade those problems with problems I'm having now. And so it's been a fun ride. So
Yeah, well, that level of authenticity is rare online, right? And so when you're sharing the good, the bad, and it's something I struggle with. I should be doing a lot more podcasting, even if I don't have a guest on. I should be creating a lot more on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Those are where potentially my people are hanging out in terms of people who could become clients. So it's tough, man. It's really tough, and I think maybe in particular as a guy, we're not really taught to be that transparent about how we're doing, right? It's just
yep,
the um the man that's in our head is the guy who is, stoic. That we're
yep,
taught to be strong, and all those things are fine and well, but it just means that, someone like yourself who's sharing authentically online is rare. And so when you see that, I think that's really enjoyable to connect with. So I want to start to get into your growth, right? Because that's that's what people listen to this podcast for, is to learn about pest control companies, how they got off the ground, how they grew to where they are today. So first, where are you guys today? How many customers do you have? Can you talk about growth in terms of percentages? You said, I believe, in 2022 you ended the year at 137,000 in top line revenue, and we are at the beginning of September 2023. So how are we looking so far?
Yeah, so we did finish at 131,000 of 2022. As of right now, we are at, let's see where we're at. We're at 195,000 for 2023.
So you're on
So
pace to do about, I mean, since we're going into winter, what do you think you guys can hit 250?
Yeah, I think right now we're on pace for like 260 to 270. So my goal headed into 2023 was 260,000. And so I think, even with going into wintertime, we can still keep up a lot of the pace. We might not, I think technically we're like on pace for like 280 if we looked at the month average. But I think if we hit 260, 270, that was our goal. And then, that's about where I think we should finish out. September should be pretty busy, and October should still be pretty busy for us with the fall invaders, and then November, December kind of goes off the deep end. But yeah, I think we're definitely should at least double in size from what we did last year.
Well, first off, congratulations. We need to get you over the next couple of years. We need to make sure you're submitting your application to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies, because that's phenomenal growth right there. And I hope you guys keep that up. I don't see why you wouldn't. And you mentioned previously wildlife control. So is that something you expanded into, so that during the winter, when little critters are trying to make their way into people's homes, you could sustain some new business? And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, initially I wasn't going to do wildlife, but man, I kept getting calls for wildlife in that first initial few months. And if I was doing wildlife, I probably would have had my first call sooner than 3 months. But I got my wildlife permits and everything in early of 2022, and I think it was like March or April. And even though we didn't have the first initial couple months in there, it still finished out being about 21% of the business in 2022. I haven't looked exactly at the numbers yet for this year, but we've done a lot more wildlife work for a lot more money. So it probably is about a fourth of our business at least, if not a little bit more than that. And I'm not really focusing too much on wildlife. My background's pest, but I've been learning wildlife on the fly, and I've been kind of teaching myself along with reaching out to others in the industry who's helped a lot, give me good advice and teach me how to do things. But yeah, so wildlife has been great without even trying. So.
Well, a lot of it comes down to catering to a local market, right? So we have clients all over the country. In some places, you can totally get away without any doing any wildlife stuff. Like we have our biggest client is in Texas. At this point, I think they have 20,000 customers. They don't touch wildlife. They'll take care of, right, like rodents inside, basic stuff to take care of their pest control customers, but they don't need it. The demand isn't crazy there. Same thing. We have another client in Southern California. He doesn't want to touch wildlife, and he doesn't need to, because the demand just. But then you get into areas like Louisville, or suburbs and rural areas around Chicago or Wisconsin. Rural areas of and around Atlanta, wildlife becomes a much bigger need. There's the founder of Shake Shack decided at some point when he was launching all of his Shake Shack franchises, that on every menu around the country, 90% of what they make is just the same. It's same across all their stores. But then there's 5% of their menu. There's always a few items that are specific to a local market, right? So whether it's in the restaurant business or whether it's in pest control, you just want to do a bit of catering to whatever the needs of the local market are, and that's going to vary. So for you, it sounds like expanding into wildlife control has made sense and has made money as well, which is obviously great.
Yeah, I think it's made sense. Kind of like you said, just a lot of companies that don't do wildlife. And so I take advantage of it. I have a handful of wildlife pest control companies that refer wildlife stuff out to me. I wish I could be more reciprocal with them, but unfortunately, I do pest control too. So there's not too much I'm giving away pest control wise when that's like my bread and butter. But there's still a few things I give away. Like there's one company that does a lot of insulation work. I don't do insulation or crawl space work yet. So I give them all those jobs. But then I'm also, they're also smaller companies, so I'm able to help them. When they need a second hand on things, I can go out and help them on different jobs and stuff, and vice versa. So they help me too. So it's kind of mutual that way. But yeah, wildlife has been great. It's not something I was really interested in, but it's making money, so I'm interested in now.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you guys have, winters the way you do, I think, the reason Texas and Southern California and probably also Florida don't make quite as much sense for wildlife. It's like you basically have pest control year round. Winter can get kind of cold, but their winters are generally pretty mild, except for a few days out of the year when everything freezes and everything shuts down all of a sudden. Okay, so I want to talk about your growth on social media, because you've mentioned posting on social media, but let's get into detail about what it means to post on social media. What are you posting? What does your posting schedule look like? Are you regimented about it? Do you have a calendar and tools that you use to stay organized with it? Just kind of give me the rundown of how you go about leveraging social media, the platforms you post to, all of that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, one of my people I look up to is Grant Cardone, and I read his book, The 10X Rule. And his biggest thing is most businesses fail, or most people fail at something because they underestimated the amount of time, the amount of work, and the amount of effort that it would take to do whatever they're trying to do, whether it's growing a business, do a hobby, whatever the case may be. And so I kind of took that mindset, and I took it to social media. So most social media experts or people who give advice for businesses and their social media pages say post like once a week, at most once a day. Most people don't want you to, everybody says don't post too much because you will annoy people, and you'll have people unsubscribe to things. Well, I took everything that everybody else said and threw it out the window, and I took what Grant Cardone said and took it to heart. So first 3 months, like I was posting at least 4 times a day, every day, and I utilize the posting, the scheduling on Facebook, and I post one at midnight. I post one at 6 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and every day, like clockwork, around those times, something would be posted. And what Grant Cardone says is you gotta get through the haters first to get to the admirers. So when I first doing it, like I posted a lot of funny memes. I posted me treating my house, my friend's house, old pictures of bugs and stuff that I've taken before, and other jobs that I'd taken pictures at before, that didn't have any of the other companies' stuff in it, and posted all that. Just random stuff I'd find. Interesting articles from ESA, the Entomological Society of America, or PCT magazine, PMP magazine. I post that on there. Um, I I was writing like a blog once a month, and I post that on there. So I was posting all the time, and my friends would be like, "Man, you're posting way too much. All I see is your stuff," and getting tired of it. I'm like, "Look, you can unfollow it. I don't care. You already know who I am. I'm not, and you're not a customer. So if you unfollow me, that's fine. I don't care. But it's for the other people that don't know who I am that is the reason why I'm posting." Um, and so, I kept doing it. People kept saying, "Oh, you're posting way too much. You're going to annoy people. You're going to turn people away." And then I don't know exactly
And
when, but
real quick, so this was in 2021, 2022,
yep.
as you're getting started, and you mentioned Facebook. So was it just Facebook that you were posting to at this time?
No, I was posting to Facebook. I was posting to Instagram, LinkedIn. That was about it. And then 2022, I started posting to Nextdoor once they opened up, because Nextdoor was like limiting to like 2 posts a month. So when Nextdoor opened it up to unlimited, I started posting to Nextdoor. And then this year, Twitter came out with you can pay for it, and you can have an unlimited amount of characters in like a paragraph of words. So I started posting to Twitter. And then mid 2022, I was posting to Google My Business with the updates. So post, everything that gets posted on Facebook and Twitter gets posted to Instagram, LinkedIn, Google My Business, and then also I have profiles on Angie, Thumbtack, Yelp. All the pictures get posted there. And then this year I've been doing more with TikTok. So things get posted to TikTok as a reel, and I post it back on Facebook as a reel, and then Instagram as a reel too. And now with YouTube doing the shorts, I post it on YouTube with shorts. So I mean, I'm trying to be everywhere. So it's kind of like
Sounds like you are everywhere, my friend, at this point.
it's kind of like, the way I look at it is, I'm a small fish in a big pond, competing with companies that have a marketing budget trillion times larger than mine, and it's playing Moneyball, playing small ball. What can I do to reach the most amount of people with the less amount of money? And the only way I can do it is do things that nobody else is willing to do. I follow the larger national and regional brands around, and while they may have more followers than I do, I get a lot more interactions than they do. And that's just, posting something funny. It's not selling. I hardly ever sell on our business page. Hardly ever, do a sale, put anything out selling wise. It's mostly, this is what we're doing, this is what we're taking care of, or DIY tips. I give away all information. It doesn't matter. I don't care. If somebody's going to read my stuff and take care of their own ant problem, they weren't going to be my customer anyways. So I don't care. And that's kind of my approach. I give away all of my information, everything that I know, and in return, a lot of that opens up to people saying, "Hey, I don't want to take care of my ants. I'm just going to call him." And so then that's generally what happens. Or people can see the process of what we're doing and see why we may be a little bit more expensive than somebody else. And so it also puts a face to a name or to a voice. They're calling in, and they don't know who I am, but they can see pictures, they can see videos of everything that we're doing, and see, oh, this looks like it'll be a good thing for us, and so we'll trust him to come to our house, take care of our pest problem. And so yeah, that's kind of the approach I'm doing. And now that we are, have money coming in, I do have a social media manager that helps me schedule posts to all the other platforms as well besides Facebook and Instagram. It doesn't do Nextdoor yet, but or Angie, Yelp, or Thumbtack. So those I have to manually do. But it's about keeping it a regular routine so people can consistently see what's going on with Tailormade or whatever company you started or working for. Recently, I've been really busy, so I haven't been as consistent with posting as I should be. But I think we're still reaping the benefits of all of that work I did at the beginning. That is all that content that's out there. Even though I haven't posted that much recently, I've posted so much stuff out there that there's probably more content in a shorter amount of period than anybody else around. And it's still pretty recent, even though it's been maybe a year or two since some of that stuff's been posted.
I have a lot of questions.
Hopefully got a lot of answers.
It's all such good stuff. So with publishing to so many platforms, that probably sounds overwhelming to someone who's listening to this. But you started off only publishing to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? So I think one of the lessons in here is start small, right? Start basic, post the same thing to all those different platforms. How do you, once you started to scale and post the 6-7 platforms, how do you manage all of that content? How do you get it on all those platforms?
I just do it. So that's kind of why I've stopped doing it as much, because it is so time consuming. I'll get a picture and I make it with Canva or use TikTok and, use their templates and make some sort of video or whatever out of it. And then it's about coming up with a good little paragraph or whatever to post about it, and then copying and copy paste here. And it's just about, having all the apps on the phone, post it on TikTok, then go to Facebook, post it there, go to Instagram, post it, LinkedIn, just going to all the different platforms and posting it on those respective platforms. And so, one post that I do can take 15 minutes for me to post it. And so it is time consuming. And then that doesn't include whatever I did to edit the picture or the video. So sometimes it's a 30-minute process for one post. And it is a daunting task to take on. But when you're first starting out, you don't have that much to do. And so that's why I could post a lot when I first started. I didn't have too much else to do. I didn't have 200 customers I'm dealing with at a time. So eventually I'll probably have somebody help me do the social media, but this time it's just me. And so some of it lapsed. So I'm like a month and a half behind right now. I'm posting stuff. I've taken so much pictures over the last month and a half, 2 months, and just haven't posted them yet.
So to unpack that, you're still doing it manually, right? You're not using like a Buffer or a Sprout Social or one of these social media marketing management platforms that make it possible to post to several platforms at once. And has that been a conscious decision did you look into any of those platforms and just decide, you know what, I'm going to keep my overhead low. I don't need to pay for another software. I'll just take the time to do it?
Well, I do have a social media manager per se. So we have I'm paid for Hero Post, so I got them, and then my sales CRM, which is pretty much a high level based software that does the website and following up for everybody. Also has a social media manager.
Are you using Fios for that?
I'm not using Fios.
Okay. But you're using Go High Level.
Anthony and I have talked, but unfortunately for Anthony, he was kind of like a little too late, because literally like a couple weeks before I talked to Anthony, I talked to somebody else that uses the same exact platform as Anthony, and they're a little bit cheaper than he is. So he does a lot, and he's got a lot of things going on. And he and I, talk occasionally still, and he's giving me a lot of great advice and tips and things, even though I'm not using him. But we use the same platform as he does. So
Got
he
it.
has, he has a social media manager that's built into it, and so that's what I mainly use. The problem is, it still limits to on Twitter 240 characters, even though I pay for the Twitter premium, whatever. Google, my business, it's hit or miss if it works sometimes. And then it's still like you have to format the picture properly for Instagram. So you got to have the right ratio or whatever for it to post to Instagram. And so that just gets annoying. So I generally just do it manually, just because I'm still having to post manually to Angie, Yelp, and Thumbtack and Nextdoor. So there's still 4 other places that I'm posting manually to. And so I'm like, well, I'll just post manually to everywhere else too, as well.
So it's about if for someone who doesn't really do much social media, and maybe you're thinking about taking it, they're on to unpack it more. So you largely do it manually. You said it takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes per post. And if you're posting several times a day, you're looking at anywhere from an hour or two, right, to making sure it works on all these different platforms per day. And but you're always quote unquote creating content, right? Because you're constantly documenting what you're doing. So when you finally go to sit down and hit publish or come up with your captions, you're not trying to come up with something on the spot. You already have a large inventory or database of content, of pictures, of videos, of probably ideas where you can just kind of sit down and say, okay, let's ship this stuff, right? As opposed to sitting down and well, shoot, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was a lot of like, crap, what am I going to say? I don't know what else to say. And I think I'm a boring person. So it's like, I don't know what to say. But it's just one of the things where you have to make yourself take pictures, or realize that everything that you do on a daily basis is interesting to other people because they don't do it every day. So somebody I follow on Facebook is Jasmine, and she is phenomenal. She posts about everything, and and she'll do it right on the spot too. So she's a lot better than I am. But what I took from her is that she's taking stuff and pretty much documenting like the day in life of a technician per se, even though she started her own business now. So for me, it's like, well, I'm going to document what it's like for an entrepreneur, but then also, since I'm still trying to grow my business, I have to have like action pictures or action videos of what we're doing. And so a lot of my friends make fun of me because I'm like a 16-year-old high school girl that goes around with a selfie stick and a selfie light and a tripod and a selfie stick. And, a service that should take me 30 minutes probably takes me an hour, because I'll go position the tripod, go back, look at the angle, make sure it looks good, and take the picture of me treating. So I might treat or pretend to treat this one area 10 times, and then reposition it for something else. Or I'm in the middle of something and I'm like, oh, this looks like this would be a great video. So then I take out my phone and video it. And so it does take a lot of time. It's not something that is super easy to do. But the other thing is, most people that I've talked to, and I had the same problem when I first started, they're super critical of themselves. So I don't like the way I sound when I talk. I don't like the way I look on video or pictures. But I had to get over the fact that even though I think I look ugly and I sound horrible and I don't sound polished and I'm not professional or whatever the case may be, that other people don't see it that way. And so I'm getting in the way of me making more money. And so I have to get out of the way and just do it. So a lot of my videos aren't, professionally edited, and there's a lot of mistakes in there. So I still, I don't edit a lot of things out of it because it does take a lot of time. So a lot of it's just raw, unedited pictures of stuff or videos about what's going on. So it makes you more personable because everybody's used to like professional grade stuff, and it's rehearsed, it's practiced. Versus me, it's just here it is. Even though I might take it 2 or 3 times, it's still not rehearsed. It's still something that I'm making up as we go, and it's more relatable. So the biggest advice I could give anybody: just do it. Even if you don't take it 3 times, just take a video real quick. Just take a quick picture, and just post it. Because that's what I do. A lot of times, especially when I first started, I just took a video, posted it. Because if I watched it, I'd probably not post it. And so, I kind of watch it, make sure that there's nothing, I didn't do anything crazy, illegal, or I had all my PPE and stuff on. But I pretty much just posted it. I didn't listen to it. So I'd have the audio off. I just watch it, make sure everything looked kosher, and then just post it. And so that's kind of what happens. So I've now invested in a really nice tripod. I need to buy a couple more like stage lights or whatever so we get lighting right. But I have a lot of gear now that I carry with me, and so it's just something that I take the time to do, and it's kind of enjoyable. So you make it fun, and people, some people enjoy it too, just watching the process.
Yeah, and so part of it is, once you understand something, you might actually enjoy it, right? At first, you don't understand
Yep.
it. You might not consider yourself an extroverted person. Maybe you even consider yourself a private person, which you mentioned. But you just do it anyways. You put yourself out there, you see what happens, and you do it consistently, right? And I think the
Yep.
ability to not overanalyze, right, and end up in this paralysis by analysis situation where you're creating all this content and then you're only publishing 50% of it, that's huge, right? That's made such a big difference for you. So which platforms have you been able to isolate which platforms have worked quote unquote best for you? I mean, you built the business on the back of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and some of the other platforms are newer, but have you been able to create some sort of system where you can, attribute your leads or sales to different platforms to understand what's working, what isn't working?
Yeah. So using the same, software, the high level software, we're able to track where leads come in from. So, by far, Google's the best. So without too much tender love and care to Google, Google still brings in a lot. But I think with me
And
posting to Google,
when you say Google, I'm assuming you mean your Google business profile and the Google Map Pack.
yeah, the map pack and the GMB profile, that's where I'm posting all the updates to. So obviously we have a website, and I update the website consistently. But then I'm also consistently updating my profile on Google. So I don't pay for Google My Business. I don't pay for the LSA or anything like that. I just post to it. And so that, giving Google content, that's what Google's looking for. Google's looking for more content, more pictures, more videos. Posting to YouTube, I think, is part of that, since YouTube's a part of Google. So giving Google more information to pull from, I think, is helping me rank. And so I've been told by a couple people that I'm ranking pretty high, like on the map part. Like if you Google pest control near me or whatever, I rank somewhere in the top 10. I've heard some people say I'm first, second, third, all the way, all over different scale. It's different for everybody. But I'm up there without having to pay Google a dime. Eventually, I'll probably pay Google. But again, it's one of those things where I'll be competing with every other company to get Google's dollar. And I could go broke doing that. So right now, it's just not something we're doing. And then Facebook, a close second to Google. Just most people on Facebook. And that's, Facebook has all the groups that I'll post, reshare some of my posts to, the interesting DIY articles or posts that I make. I'll post to all like 78 or 80 different neighborhood groups around here. And that's helped me a lot. And then surprisingly, Nextdoor has been really good. We've done a decent amount of business from Nextdoor. I don't get too much. I haven't got anything from LinkedIn, I don't think. Don't think I've got anything from Twitter. I've got maybe one or two from Instagram. But yeah, I'd say Google, Facebook, and Nextdoor are the three best platforms so far.
Interesting. And when you talk about, I want to get into some tactical things for Facebook and Nextdoor. And also want to highlight something that you said, which is all of your competition is on Google, right? So, and you're right, when you're going to Google, not only is your competition there, but there are guys like me there who all I do all day, every day, and my team is Google marketing. And so you're up against, you're up against Mosquito Joe Schmo, guy who is, in Louisville, who may or may not know what he's doing. But then you're also up against real experts in this field who have a craft, have made a craft out of this and really have it dialed in. And it's tough and expensive to play that game. It's lucrative when it comes to meeting people where they're at in terms of the leads being ready to buy and buy right now. As you know, those people are on Google, right? So Google is still your number one source, but it's the most competitive, which makes it the most expensive. When you talk about Facebook and the groups, I don't know if I misheard you, but it sounded like was that Nextdoor Facebook, you posting to 60 to 70 different neighborhoods or neighborhood groups in the Louisville area?
Yep, Facebook.
That's Facebook. Yeah, okay.
About 78 to 80. Yeah.
So how did you find those groups? What kind of groups are these? And just tell me more about that specific strategy, right? So if let's say I have a client who is in Atlanta and they're like, shoot, okay, well, this sounds pretty good. But they're thinking this whole time, they're probably thinking, I guess I just got to post to my own, Facebook feed. And it sounds like you do that, but now you've unlocked this whole other, idea and strategy of posting a group. So tell me more about how someone gets started and how that works.
Yeah. So, you have to be careful with the groups. So part of the strategy of not selling is because I am posting in all these groups, and you'll get banned if you become like too advertised that you're selling. So generally what I do, Google kind of penalizes businesses for posting on their page because they want you to pay or Facebook wants you to pay for their advertisement. So they don't share it to as many people as they could. So I always post it to my personal page as well because my personal page will reach more people. But then I'll take my Google, like a post that I make on my Facebook page, and I will repost it with, and I'll make like another paragraph about, hey, for instance, the latest one was about cicada killers. So it wasn't selly at all. I wasn't even saying I would take care of the cicada killers. We will, but it's a beneficial pest that we don't want to take care of. So I made and I use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT has become my friend as well. So I went to ChatGPT. I said, hey, give me 10 things that are beneficial about cicada killers. Took it, re-edited it, made it a little bit my own, and then made it into a post with some pictures of cicada killers that I've taken. Or I might have got them from the KPMA, which has photos that you can take for yourself. And then I posted on my business page, and then the neighborhood groups. So before I started my business, the wife kind of wants to move into a different house, and I'm kind of against it. But Now, with restarting business, we're not really doing it, especially with where housing prices are. But I kind of take it in, so I just search on Facebook groups like different areas. Right? There's, it's kind of like Manhattan or, Brooklyn. You just start typing about all of these subdivisions and neighborhoods and subcities within Louisville and the surrounding area. And you look for these neighborhood groups. And you have to be careful. So you have to disguise it a little bit because people take being an admin on a Facebook group very seriously, too seriously. And so then they'll ask a million questions like, why you want to join our group? And honestly, while we're not actively looking right now, I am kind of looking at other neighborhoods to live in. So I can say, I don't live in, St. Matthews, but I'm looking to live in St. Matthews, looking to buy a house. And so just kind of wanting a little bit understanding of the neighborhood before, we actually buy a house. And so a lot of them let me in after you answer all the questions and then, you have to abide by the rules. So don't make promotions or anything. So I don't make promotions. But what I do is share DIY tips. So in 2021, for instance, I made like a funny little thing about "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" about mice. So, not a creature stirring, not even a mouse. And so we took that and I made it into a blog about 5 ways of preventing mice from getting in your home. And so, found a picture of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" picture on Google, put it on the Facebook page, made my blog, and then I shared into these groups that I've joined. And just, again, it takes time. So finding all these groups and posting one by one because Facebook is trying to prevent people from spamming, their platform. And I just said something like, hey, Christmas is right around the corner. You don't want a little creature stirring in your house. Here are some ways of preventing them from ruining your Christmas. And if you have an issue, give us a call if you'd like. And so I did that. And then when I first started, I forgot. I went in all the groups and I made a post about me. So I had a picture of me and then I had a bio pretty much about me. And I said, if it's not allowed, take it down. But I just want to introduce myself as a new small business. And so that's the type of things that I share in these groups. And finding them is just going on the app and looking for all the different groups. And then taking time to answer all the questions and abiding by their rules.
Interesting. So you find these neighborhood groups, right? So you're typing in a zip code, or you're typing in the name of a neighborhood. You're going in like a normal freaking human being. You're introducing yourself. You're posting things that are helpful. You're posting things that value, right? You're posting things where, someone could basically just take your tips and, like you said, go do it yourself, but you're also perfectly fine with that, right? That person's not going to be your customer anyways. And so what eventually comes around is someone who doesn't want to do it themselves. And so what do they do? Do they DM you, and just say like, hey, notice you posted this thing about these mice. I don't really want to deal with it. I'm not super happy with my current pest control company, or they don't do rodents. Is this something you can help with? How does that happen?
Yeah. So either they'll comment to the post and say, hey, they have this issue. Or they private message me. So yeah, that's kind of how they do it. And then also being a part of these groups, when people are looking for a pest control company, they post it in the groups because they don't want to post it to their regular page. So they post it. And then when you ask, that kind of opens up the door for me to DM you. So I'll put, I'll comment Tailormade Pest Control on the post, and then I will DM you and be like, hey, I can help you. And then start a conversation that way too. And the great part about being in a networking group is I have other people that are commenting my name all the time. So, where my BNI group is at, there's a couple local neighborhood groups. Constantly, every day, somebody's tagging my name because there's a post about somebody looking for pest control. And so they tag my name, and it opens up the door for me to DM them and, to their business. And so that's where Facebook has really been beneficial, and that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck without paying, is joining these groups and being active in it, and then also having your friends and family and, other people and customers refer you, to where, now if somebody makes a post about, hey, I got mice, need help with it. On one post Facebook thread, my name will probably be mentioned 7 to 15 times, and not by me. That's not counting me. That's counting all these other people now that are commenting my name or the company's name and referring us. And so that's where we're getting a lot of Facebook leads, is from the groups and the posts within the groups about needing help with pest control.
That's awesome. And so you've built up a reputation over time now through Facebook in these groups where you're a trusted authority on this topic for this service. And you also mentioned the BNI group, right, which is not social specific, but it sounds like that's also been a helpful way to get your name out there. And obviously if you have other people recommending you, it's about as good as marketing gets, right? If it's not a friend recommending you, having an acquaintance recommend you is huge. Managing all of this, I know you've recently brought on the new technician, the office manager, and a social media manager. Are all of those people working full-time for you, or are some working part-time?
Yeah, so I don't have an actual social media manager. I have the softwares that help me manage social media.
Got it.
Yeah, but I manage social media, so I guess I'm a full-time social media person. But my tech and the office manager are both full-time. Tech works 4 days a week, office manager works 5 days a week. And
got it.
They help relieve a lot of stress off me.
And so about how many hours are you working in a given week at this point? To help paint a picture for someone of, what's required to do your own marketing, right? Because what I tell potential new clients in the beginning, especially solo operators, is like, you either have more time or you have more money. And you're either going to buy your way into getting leads and customers, or you're going to need to grind it out, right? And spend time doing it.
Yep.
And I talk to a lot of hardworking people, but let's get specific about expectations around what does it look like to run a pest control business, to go out, to do the work, to create the content, and then to manage it and publish it. Do you know how many hours a day or week you work?
I don't know if you can actually put a quantitary number to how many hours I work. I pretty much work around the clock. So recently I just started waking up at 4 a.m. Because during the day, it doesn't matter, weekends, weekdays, there's too many things going on for me to concentrate on everything that has to get done, whether it's the marketing, tracking KPIs, or whatever the case may be that I have to do. And a lot of times when I get home from work, I'm not really trying to, coming home from work is kind of like become time to spend with my wife. And so I have to come home and do a couple things, but then after that, one, I'm mentally kind of spent, and then two, it's just a little bit of time that I can spend with the wife. So get home, random time, all sorts of times at night, and then spend time with her, and then go to bed, and then I get up at 4, and that's when I start looking over the yesterday's stuff, seeing what happened, looking over today's stuff, looking over the financials and everything. And that's also when I do a lot of posting and stuff. If I do posting, is that time in the morning, just because there's nothing else interrupting me while I can work. And then if I get time during the day, I'll, post something, just on the route because I'm doing it on my phone. But, it's all the time. Even going to bed, my wife might go to sleep, but I might still be up. And so I'll be posting in bed while I'm laying next to her. Or I'm thinking about something else. So then I think about something else and I Google it and search it and put a plan together all on my phone. So I'm never not working. Even when I'm not working, I'm working. I'm always thinking about something. It's always on my mind. So field wise, I probably spend 40 to 60 hours in the field. Probably spend a good 10 to 20 hours on back office stuff, whether it's marketing, admin stuff, all that other stuff. So anywhere from 80 to 100 hours a week is probably what I'm working, if not more. Probably being conservative.
That's commitment right there, my friend. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, for you guys out there, for anyone who's listening, whether you're just getting started or you're thinking about getting into this, I mean, that kind of starts to paint a picture of the level of commitment that is required to do your own marketing, right? To run your own business. And some people out there listening are going, yep, because they already know. But that's awesome that you are in the grind. And one more thing I want to talk about, again, to go back into tactics. You mentioned Nextdoor, and that's been a surprisingly good lead generation source for you. Tell me a little bit more about Nextdoor. We understand now Facebook is, a lot of that comes down to posting in Facebook groups, right? Finding neighborhood groups. So how does it work on Nextdoor?
Nextdoor is kind of like an old school Facebook. And it's kind of like old school Facebook with the new age Facebook groups in the neighborhoods. So Nextdoor is all about neighborhoods within a city, and so it kind of limits your post to your specific neighborhood automatically. And now it is public to other people that other people can see around the state or country, but who it shows it to is kind of just the people within a 5 to 10 mile radius of where you live. So it really helps to build some density around where you are. So when I post to the business, it kind of posts things around the business. So within a 5 to 10 mile radius of
which in pest
where the
control
business
is, that's ideal, right? Because that's
it's ideal. Yeah,
building up
you can
your
definitely
route.
build route density. And then when I first started, my business was at my house, so it really helped to build jobs around where I live, which makes it super convenient. Be 5 minutes away from a first job or 5 minutes away from your last job. And so that's kind of where Nextdoor is. You can't really share posts. So what I do is what I post on my personal page gets posted on the business page. And so, people who follow the business or around the business will get it. People who are around me will get it. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And then the same thing, because a lot of people are not liking Facebook for all sorts of reasons. We won't get into all the million reasons why people don't like something, but people are starting to use Nextdoor now more for like, oh, who's this suspicious car that's driving down the road or whatever, or now looking for service providers. And so because people are looking for service providers on Nextdoor, it also leaves, me with the opportunity to comment my name and then private message them. And for people to see my posts and comment and private message me about getting service too. So Nextdoor was a lot slower growth. So it took a long time for me to get some leads and close some business on Nextdoor. But now it's consistent. It's still not as much as Facebook or Google. How many we probably get like 1 to 3 maybe a week. So it's not a lot, but it's it's leads that we didn't get and I didn't pay for. So
And the other thing I want to talk about, because you mentioned Go High Level earlier, and Go High Level, just so everyone understands, it is a software that you make exactly how you want it to be.
Yep.
It has all sorts of bells and whistles and complexities that make it possible for you to create whatever you want in it, right? And so we referred to Fios and Anthony earlier. Anthony has built a pretty incredible pest control software, customer relationship management tool and sales automation software using Go High Level, right? And so he's sort of pre-built this thing and now sells it as an all-in-one pest control package, and it's amazing what he's built and how powerful it is. So you've taken the same software, Go High Level, and did you mention that you used a competitor who was a little bit cheaper, who did it a little bit differently, or that you went and got Go High Level yourself and have been sort of building out your own system?
Yeah, so I use a competitor of Anthony's. It's with John Domino, sorry, and it's a perfect follow-up. But it's pretty much the same thing. I think John also deals with other industries too, instead of just pest control. But it's pretty much the same thing that Anthony does. So he's built out this platform with Go High Level. It's a great sales CRM that tracks everything. And I mean, it follows up with people automatically. It helps us follow up with people. So before I found the Go High or perfect follow up in Anthony, I was kind of doing it manually myself. So I'd write down on a Google Keep task to follow up with, Andrew about ants in a couple days or tomorrow. And then, follow up again. So we were doing it manually through text and email and calling, and it took a lot of time. It didn't happen a lot because it was taking a lot of time to follow up to people manually. So now we're able to do it automatically to where you call in, you say you have any problem with ants, you're just looking for a quote, you want to talk to your wife after we give you a quote. And we're like, okay, cool. Go talk it over with your wife and, let us know which way you want to go. And if you don't mind, we'll follow up with you tomorrow. And most people are like, okay, great, follow up with us tomorrow. And so following up is, text, hey, Andrew, were you able to talk to your wife yesterday? Or, we gave you a quote yesterday. Did you have any questions? And so again, it's not salesy. I'm not like, hey, we're following up with you, or hey, it's kind of like asking some questions, or do you have any questions, or can we get you scheduled? It's kind of like to help push people or encourage people to buy, or we're just kind of looking to get an answer, yes or no. But it does it automatically. So it sends an email, it sends a text. It makes a task for one of us to follow up with them and call them and leave them a voicemail. And so it's really helped convert a lot of our stuff. So listening to your podcast with Anthony today, you guys are talking about you ask a pest control operator, how much are you converting? And most people are like, oh yeah, we're converting like 80 or 90% of our stuff. And then once you start digging into the numbers, because they don't have numbers, then it's really not. It's a lot lower, a lot lower. And so going into my business, I knew for me, I'm going after 80% of the market is DIYers. So everybody's fighting for 20%. Out of that 20%, I'm probably fighting for 5 or 10% of that market because we're higher end. And for me, I was pretty much okay with closing about 10 to 20% rate. And that's where we were before I met John and Perfect Follow-Up. Now with the CRM and with us actually following up with people consistently, we went from 10%, 10 to 20%. Now we're about 50%. And so we're still not, where we want to be, around like the 80% mark. But I feel like 50% is a ton better than where we were before. And some of it might have to do with our messaging. Some of it might have to do with, my admin who's still learning. So there's still a lot of learning curves that we're going through. But we're consistently growing with with how much we're converting. And some of it too, I think, with our conversion rate is just we get a lot of price shoppers. And a lot of that might have to do with where we're getting the lead from. So with the lead generators, as you mentioned on that podcast about, their reused leads that everybody's giving out. And so, but I will say with the CRM, we're getting to people a lot quicker. So before, when it was taking us like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to get back to somebody, they're getting a text message within 5 seconds. And then an email, and then hopefully a call within 5 minutes because we're able to see that lead come in and then call them, or they call us and then we answer their phone. So,
well, interesting. So, because of your price point, what do you guys charge?
for general pets, for about $200 for like anti-spiders, something like that.
Is that a one time?
Yep, that's a one time. One time comes with a follow-up text or email in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, make sure everything's looking good. If we're still seeing issues, we'll come back. So yeah, that's really a one-time price for that. Rodents were about $325. So.
And what about do you guys do monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly services?
Yeah, we mainly do bi-monthly. We also do some monthlies. So our every other month service for just insects is $100 per service. We do the monthly subscription thing, so it breaks down to $50 a month. If you want just rodents, again, it's about $50 a month, so $100 per service. If you do the traditional like insects plus rodents, you're looking at $150 per service every other month. And then monthly, we're about $80 for a monthly service. And then we also started doing a bundling service. So like mosquito, fleas, and ticks plus rodents and general pests. Monthly is $100 a month.
Cool. So yeah, that's definitely on the higher end. And do you guys have you ever tried any kind of, offers? Like it sounds like you do some bundling packages now. Yep. You ever done something like, first service is 50% off or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So when I first started, I did the 50%, or we waived initial fees because I was just starting in wintertime. So I was trying to build more recurring customers. So I did do that, and then I've done it a little bit last year. So like June tends to be like a dip for us. So we start rising up in March, and then April's great, and May is good, and then June and July kind of dipped a little bit. So this year I tried to stay ahead of the dip with June, and I think we were waiving, making initial 50% off, or 50% off for like rodents and things that we had like a lot of equipment with, and then or no initial for like just general pests like ants and spiders and stuff. And I'm not a fan. Our conversion rate was not any better when we were waiving stuff. And I think that was just because we're a higher end company that's gonna, that's selling quality, and now we're trying to compete on price. And it's you gotta do one or the other. You're gonna compete on price, or you're gonna compete on quality. And and some of the people that we've given deals on were not great customers, whether they were become bad debt accounts or problematic accounts with a million callbacks. And so kind of like so when I first started, I didn't have the CRM to track all the data and everything. So I was just kind of going on gut instincts and didn't see the data. And so I thought we're converting more with the cutting the initial prices and 50% off or whatever. But then, this year, since we do have the data and I did it, I saw that it was not any better. We weren't converting more. To bring in the revenue. And so I'm like, well, I'm losing money at that point. If we're still converting about the same or a little bit better, but not significantly enough better for us to make up, in volume, then it's not really something to do. And so it'll be interesting. I I may do it in the wintertime again just to help drum up some more business. But after the June trial, I don't know if I will. It's kind of like a 2-week trial that I did, and I'm not liking the numbers.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, and I wonder too if because of the quality of the leads that you get, when someone finds you on social media and they see the work that you do through pictures and videos, the amount of trust and credibility that you're able to build with that person is very high. And so, um, they can justify paying more because they see you as an authority, right, on
yeah,
this topic. They see you as the best. And when it comes to something like, bottom of the funnel, direct marketing, such as Google Ads, where someone may have never heard of you before, right? Maybe they've seen your truck around town here and there, but you don't have a lot of trust and credibility with them.
yeah,
It's more competitive. And yeah, I wonder if just because of the way you're getting your leads, right, word of mouth and social media, you can charge more, and but it also makes sense why your close rate was so low, because if anyone does any price shopping, right, if they have any price sensitivity and they have to figure out a way to justify top dollar. So what are the things that you do to help customers understand why you charge what you charge? Like, are there specific, it's something like, well, most pest control companies will come by for 15 minutes and they only de-web, the first and second story. We're going to be out there for at least a half an hour. We're going to de-web your third story if you have it, something along those lines. Like, do you get into specifics with
yeah.
them?
So a lot, like you're saying, a lot of it just comes down to building value, and I build value by being personable. I'm not an outgoing person, but I've become an outgoing person because it's kind of like closed mouths don't get fed. So we take a lot of time to build trust with you over the phone. And then obviously we're building trust with you without even talking to you with social media and pictures and all that, videos and everything. And then, when we're at the service, it's about taking the time to build a relationship with you. And so that's where a lot of our value comes from. And that's where a lot of, bigger companies can't compete because they're all about the bottom dollar. And so it's really hard, and that might be why my sales conversion ain't great, because I don't really sell against people. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say we're better than anybody. I'm not going to say that we're going to do a better job or we use better chemicals, because at the end of the day, we all know we pretty much use the exact same stuff and we do the exact same thing. And I'm not going to say that we're going to spend an X amount of time at a house, because your house might not warrant us spending 30 minutes at your house. And I'm going to go crazy trying to find 30 minutes of stuff to do at your house if I don't have to. But it's just about, explaining that I've got more than 10 years experience in this. And what I can do in 15 minutes, we're probably going to take you 2 hours to do it, because I've spent, we got CU credits involved with it. We got the life experience in it, and I got the proper tools to do it quickly and efficiently. And so that's a tough question to answer and to quantify over the phone, because everybody wants to know, why are you better? Or why am I going to pay you more money than X company X? And for us, it's about peace of mind. So if you follow any of our stuff, we do the pest funeral and pest free, and then peace of mind. So, our services, the reason why you're hiring us is to have a pest-free home of business. And we're going to do that by providing peace of mind to you. And so that's kind of where I sell. I sell peace of mind. I don't sell pest control. I do pest control, but I sell peace of mind. And peace of mind comes with, for us, communication. So we're going to over communicate things to you. We're going to communicate everything over the phone with you. So hopefully, if you've seen any of our stuff, we've communicated through our posts. Then you're going to call us or visit our website, and you're going to have more information about pretty much the same stuff on our website. Then you're going to call us, or text us, and we're going to give you the same information and maybe explain a little bit more in detail because now we have you on the phone. And then when we get out to the service, and Carrie or I are going to go through and explain everything to you. And so it's just about the constant communication. And then on the regular service part, we're texting you on the way, even if you're not going to be there, just as an outside only service. We're going to provide the service for you. We also take pictures of things that, of concern, whether it's pest related or not pest related. It could be as simple as, we've noticed your gutters are not cleaned out. So we're going to say, hey, probably need to clean out your gutters to help, prevent mosquitoes from breeding in there and other insects and something like that. Or we know there's a gap around your AC pipes. We're going to take a picture of that, say, hey, you might want to seal that up before mice get in that way. Little things like that. But then on top of that, we fill out the report, so you get that email to you. But then we text you too that we're done. And not only do we text you a summary of what we did about treating your house around for general pests and all the other stuff, I make a Loom video. And it's a 15-second, 30-second video. And it's just a little video about, hey, Andrew, I was here at your house. I sprayed your house for general pests and spiders. I noticed the webs around your windows in the front, so we knocked that down for you. And then I also noticed you had some flower pots collecting water. We dumped them for you so we don't have a mosquito problem. And that's something you'll want to be concerned about. And then, we appreciate your business. If you have any issues, let us know. And so we are consistently trying to make things personable with us, whether that's calling us or texting us at all hours of the day. And I'm crazy, I'll probably respond to you. Sometimes I don't, but I try to respond to people. Or whether that's with our services and us having a video to show you about what we've done. And then that's also with our commercial side too. So I service 7 restaurants. I don't see them. I do it at night. But I'm able to, with that video, make a 3 to 5 minute video showing them everything that they have to do and everything that we've done to show them this is how we keep your restaurant pest free. And the same thing with people's homes. We make it personable. And, we write a little paragraph about everything that we've done. It might not go as in depth as a video, but if you choose to read it, or you just want to read, then you can read it. Or if you click on the link, it'll take you to the Loom site, and it's your personalized TikTok video about your service. And only you can see it unless you share it with other people. And so that's where we build our value. We build our value by relationships. It's, and again, that's probably why we don't sell as much, because it's hard to quantify that over the phone. Because, I'm not going to say we do better things, or we do this differently, or we do that differently, because at the end of the day, I do things similar to what other companies do. But the other thing is, we're willing to take the time to figure out your problem. So that's where I can say most companies, they're on a tight time frame where they're trying to do 15 to 20 jobs a day. Me, I'm happy if we do 10. So if we run across a problem, I'm going to spend the time to figure out why you're having a problem. Point that out to you. If I can take care of that for you, I'll take care of it. If it's something that you need to address, then I'll point it out for you to address. And so we're willing to spend the time necessary to figure out what you got going on, address the problem, and then treat specifically to what your problem is. So, I don't tell people we're going to use more chemical, because more time than not, we use less chemical than other companies. We may or may not spend more time. Initially, we probably spend more time, but we get these accounts done, and sometimes I feel bad because I'm done in 10 or 15 minutes. But it's all that legwork that we've done. And then it's a follow-up process too that I sell, that we do. Even, all of our services come with follow-ups. It doesn't mean that we're going to come back in 2 weeks. It just means that Sarah's going to call you and be like, hey, Andrew, Chris was there for ants, a couple weeks ago. How's everything looking? And you're either going to say, things are great. Christian did a terrific job. We're not seeing one more ant afterwards he treated. Everything's fantastic. Or you're going to say, well, he said that we may still see a couple ants in a couple weeks, and we're still seeing a couple ants in a couple weeks. And Sarah would be like, all right, great, we'll come back. There's no question. We're going to come back. and that's part of the initial service or the one-time fee that you pay for. And if you're a recurring service, a recurring customer, we'll come back as many times as we need to, like every other company. But my biggest thing is I don't want you to call me. That's my biggest pet peeve, is you having to call me to tell me there's a problem. And so that's where peace of mind also comes in, is if we're at your house and we're seeing that you're having ant trails in your house or whatever, we're going to take time to follow up with you in 2 weeks. No matter if you notice the ants or not. You might not have noticed the ants, but we've noticed the ants, so we're going to follow up with you in 2 weeks. Or if it's roaches, we're automatically going to follow up with you in 2 weeks until we're not seeing roaches consistently. And same thing with rodents. We got the Bell Labs IQ trays that tell us how many times they're visited, when. And so if a bait station's empty, we can see when it was the last time it was visited. And if it's, we're every other month service, but it was gone in 3 weeks, well, we're going to come back in 3 weeks, check the bait again after we replace the bait. And so it's that peace of mind that you don't have to do anything. All you do is pay us the money and we're going to take care of your problem. It's not perfect. There's things that we can't control. So they are going to have to call us, text us, or, I don't want people not to call us or text us, but I want them to understand that I don't want them to have to. If you need to, call us. But for the most part, we're going to follow up with you with an issue before you even know you had an issue. And so that's where we try to really hammer down, and that's where the value comes with us.
Yeah, and that's, what's interesting about everything you just said is it is the exact opposite approach that a lot of pest control companies take, which is I want to sneak in and out without the customer even noticing I'm there. I don't want the customer to think about me in between services. In fact, I'm afraid that they're going to think of me in between the services because they might call me to come back out and do a free reservice. The level of communication and just the level of communication that you're taking is so a magnitude of order greater than anything, frankly, I've ever heard another company do. And I've spoken with a lot of pest control operators and a lot of companies. And my guess, what's really interesting about this is two things. Number one is that my prediction is that you are going to have an above average customer lifetime value. Both because you're able to once you get a customer, once they understand the level of service that they're getting, it justifies the price, right? And so, and you're not dealing with people who are price sensitive and who are price shoppers. So even if someone else comes along and says, "Hey, we'll charge you less," they don't really care if it's going to save them, $10 a month or whatever it is, because they recognize, well, Christian and his team, they send me a video after each service, and I get all sorts of communication. Like, I recognize the work that they're doing and that they're doing good work, and they follow up with me after each service if they notice anything, and I don't ever have to worry about them stiffing me or trying to push out a reservice because they don't want to reservice me sooner than my next bi-monthly regular maintenance services. That's a huge deal. So I'll bet your customers stick around longer and end up paying your company a whole lot more than what is industry average. That's just my prediction, and so obviously you'll have to see how that plays out over the course of a few years, because to my knowledge, average lifetime value or average length of time someone stays a customer is about 3.5 years. So we'll see, but that's my prediction. That's all really good.
Yeah, we'll see. I did have some price sensitive people to start, and so we've trimmed some of them out. But we've kept a lot of people still that we've originally serviced within my first year. But yeah, that's my goal. That's my hope, is to have people for a lifetime. for me to see that they're, for me to service their house and their kids' house and their grandkids' house, and for us to have that relationship. So we'll see. Um, it's definitely a different approach than what other companies do, and that I took the time to try to line that out because everybody asks about that. Everybody wants to know what makes you different. And the other thing too, though, is if you're out of sight, out of mind, and you don't ever think about you, they don't think about you when they have another problem that you can take care of. And so that's where I think that we have an opportunity too. Is I want you to think about me all the time. If you could, and it's selfish of me, and arrogant, but I want you to think about me every second of your life. I want you to see me on Facebook and everywhere. I want you to see me text you, call you. Because if you're thinking about me, you're thinking about me when your neighbor says, hey, I have bats at my house. Or you're at a restaurant and you see a roach on your food and you're like, hey, you shouldn't be calling Tailormade Pest Control. Even if it is at your house and you got something that we missed, I want you to call us and we'll take care of you. I get offended when I hear, oh, I just bought some rain and took care of it. Like, why did you buy rain? Like, I yelled, I scold. I'm like, why did you buy rain? You have us. You pay for us. You pay good money to have us. I know what you pay us. And I know what other companies charge. It's that. I want you to think about us as much as possible. And that's why we follow up with everybody. It's because I want you to think about us. If you're not thinking about us, you're not going to think about us when there's another issue that we could take care of and make more money off you. There's always pros and cons. Sure, we might, so our callback rates are generally lower, but our follow-up rates or like our reservices in between, if we counted follow-ups and callbacks, probably higher than anybody else in the industry. And I'm okay with that. We charge for it. But what I consider a callback and what other people consider a callback is a little different because a callback's only if you call me. If I follow up with you, that's on us. And so that's where and how we can keep our callbacks lower is by that. Now, spiked a little bit this year with new tech, and some of our quality's gone down because she's had 13 years experience. So it's about, and I haven't spent the proper time to train her on everything that we do. So a lot of it's learning on the fly. But ideally, if it's not the quality of our work or what we do, it's the communication that's going to keep you. And that's what I want people to remember about Tailormade is I'm going to at least talk to you. And hear your frustrations out and try to resolve it. And I'm not afraid of you calling us. So, or us continue to come back because you're still having an issue.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you guys are doing a great job. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Christian. I really enjoyed our conversation. You held nothing back, which I guess is part of your philosophy, clearly, just to share and provide value. And you really have on this. This might be the longest podcast I've ever done because I just couldn't stop asking you questions. So I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to kind of sign off with or anything you want to leave us with?
Not really. My biggest thing is just do it. Kind of like Nike says, you just got to do it. So if you're thinking about starting a business, just do it. If you're thinking about making videos and posting stuff, just do it. Whatever it is, just do it. It doesn't even have to be business related. If you're trying to go on a diet, just do it. Whatever the case may be, it's just at the end of the day, just do it. Something is better than nothing. And and don't let. Oh, the other thing is don't let perfect get in the way of good. Good enough is good. And so while we all try to provide the best exceptional service, or we try to put out the best content ever, something's better than nothing. And as long as you're building on it and growing from it, people are going to recognize it and people are going to be okay with it. So.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Christian. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And, we may have to have you on again in a year and see how this year finished for you and just keep up. I'm sure you have a lot more value to share with me and the audience. So
I'd love to be back on your podcast again. So look forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian.
Yep.
Cool. It's stopping. It's trying to stop at least.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, it's thinking about it. Well, either way, man, that was great. I appreciate you going overtime with me there. Did not expect it to go this long, but dude, you're crushing it, man. And yeah, we'll really have to circle back. We'll really have to circle back and um, see how things are going again.
I'd love to. I mean, I've had a blast. I enjoy doing these types of things. So, yeah, sure. Just let me know when.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Christian. I'll follow up with you regarding, kind of links to different stuff and give you some assets to share on social media and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll talk again soon. And in the meantime, enjoy. Are you taking the day off or?
No, I had a couple jobs this
Of course
morning,
not.
and I got a couple more jobs after this, so it's all
Cool.
good.
Yeah.
All good thing. I took 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday.
There you go.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
So we'll work Monday.
Cool. All right, man. We'll enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
Sound good?
Bye.